See? Jesus, wet! Oh my god, must be at least -5. There's a bloody blizzard out here, folks. It's not pretty. Oh, glad we got here when we did. Hello, one and all, and welcome back to the Great Unknown Audio Show with me, Maxim Jennings, and my long-term friend and travel companion, Mr. Nikolai Brown. Nick, how are we doing?
Namaste.
Namaste, indeed. So welcome back to the second half, the descent from Annapurna Base Camp. And if you're not too careful, things can go downhill pretty quick. Am I right, Nick?
Oh, that didn't sound good. Jeez.
So in true Maxim and Nick fashion, we really rushed our way down Annapurna Base Camp. The night we spent there was as low as -11 degrees. Nick managed to get up for the sunrise, so kudos to him at 6:15 in the morning. How was that, Nick?
Oh, amazing. Just one of the best sunrises I've ever seen, to be honest. It wasn't actually like your typical sunrise. Like, you didn't see the sun rise as such. You just saw the effect of the sunrise on the mountains and then like a pink sky above you. But you never actually saw the sun until like way into the morning, like late morning.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
And so day one of our descent was El Rapido. Nick and I managed to go 12.1 miles and do 2/3 of the uphill trek in the space of about 4.5 hours, with a spot of lunch for me as well, obviously. And that was in fact my birthday, so a fantastic celebration, completely rushing down a mountain hoping not to be caught by an avalanche, as the snow had picked up to about, well, it gathered about half a metre of height overnight. So we made a quick descent and decided we would try and get as far away from the mountain as possible, which was good for us because by the time we'd arrived at our destination for the night, Shinua, it had started to absolutely chuck it down with a combination of rain, sleet, snow and hail. So we were very grateful that because we are so athletic and we made the quick dash, that we missed all of that, which was great. We managed to along the way meet two porters, one by the name of Manute and the other's name was, Nick? Packham. And they really motivated us. They were very impressed by the fact that we were carrying our own bags and that we had that we had no guide or porter. So they stuck with us for about the second half. And
James, are you happy?
Yeah, he kept...
James.
He'd asked what my name was, and I'd said Max, because sometimes Maxim can be difficult for people to remember. So I'd said Max, out of the kindness of my heart. And he just went, James, how are you? You okay? You're going slowly. And Nick went, yeah, James. What's wrong, James? To his delight. But Manute had 35 kilos of tourist luggage, which, like I'd explained before in the previous episode, wrapped around a string on his head as he was absolutely bombing it down Annapurna. Well, I didn't realise it was that much weight, but so the fact that he was impressed by mine and Nick's 9 kilos or so that we had on our backs, he even offered at one point to take the weight of our bags and carry that as well. And I thought, I can't let this poor 5'0" man do all the hard work, as really the descent is not that difficult physically, just a bit tough on your knees. So yes, that was an incredibly impressive moment. We then stopped for dinner. And what do we have for dinner, Nick?
What, for lunch?
No, dinner.
What do we have for dinner later that evening?
Yeah.
Well, there's only one thing really it could have been, and that is dal bat.
Dal bat, indeed. And we met a lovely Dutch couple who were around the same age of us, who were just they were starting their ascent, and they were very kind. They let us use their magnetic chessboard, which was the size of Nick's diary, and definitely came in handy when the storm was pouring down and we had nothing to do. The electricity had gone out and there was no fire again, because apparently it's an eco-friendly conservation park. They're not allowed to chop any logs down.
But you can use petrol-fired heaters.
So, yeah, so some things don't really necessarily make sense, but fair enough. We've managed to keep warm, and Nick managed to find himself a friend who kept him warmer than most people.
Oh yeah.
A lovely pussy cat.
Lovely pussy cat. Yeah, a little mini heater. That cow's going nowhere other than my arms.
And I would say we had probably our best night there. To be fair, sleeping wise, we had a lovely little a balcony spot. It was on the second floor, and the room was nice and tight and cosy.
Right, here we go. The Bridge of Doom. If that snaps, mate, it's a one-way trip.
Yeah. So we are just looking upon really the final stretch of our journey, which is a what did they say? A 300-meter long bridge.
Suspension bridge.
300-meter long suspension bridge. There must be at least 1,500 meters above sea level.
Well, it's probably a good 300-meter drop to the
to a sheer depth
to the riverbed. Yeah.
So yeah, you'll probably hear some clinging and some clanging for the next part of the show, and hopefully you don't hear us scream and fall to our deaths.
Right, hold on. Phone. Hand on phone.
I don't think it's going to fall through anything. Right, and so after we'd had a lovely beauty sleep, we carried on for day 2 of our descent, making it all the way down to Juni, which was a 600-meter decline in altitude, and it was started off pretty easy because you honestly got to just walk down lots of steep steps. But being the fact that we were going through valleys, all the meters that we were cutting off, we then had to put back on to get to the top of the valley, to Chom Rong, where we stayed for the first night. So that second third really of our descent was pretty bloody tough, because you're 4 days in, your quads and glutes are really tired by that point, and all you see in front of you is just a never-ending staircase up to another village. But we powered on. We managed to do it in pretty good time, and then the final third of our second day stretch was down to Juni, which we had been told about by a couple who were one British female and Australian male, and they told us about the fact that Juni had some hot springs. So it's at 1,700 meters in the air, and the hot springs a bit lower than that. But we thought, oh, that just sounds amazing. After 4.5-5 days of trekking, what better than to relax for a few hours in some natural hot springs in really hot water as it's really cold outside, just to give ourselves some sort of reward. And really, this is where the main event of the show comes, because it was a absolute whirlwind of an occasion. Nick, would you like to do the honours and just paint the scene as we arrive to Juni?
Yeah. So after checking in, like we have to walk down to the springs. It's not nearby. It's like another 200-meter descent. So much to our delight, we were looking forward to that later after the springs. But nevertheless, the springs might have been worth the descent. So we went down, got there, and well, wasn't what I was expecting.
No.
There were 3 pools, one filled with Nepalese men, about good 15 of them. Wasn't going into that pool. And then there were another 2 pools which were, well, they looked kind of unfinished. They had like steel rods sticking out of them, bit of a greasy floor. The sides and the tiles were just kind of shabby. So we're like, okay, oh well, it is what it is. Getting in there is quite nice. 5 minutes later, boss man comes along to start cutting some stone, and the whole place turns into a building site. Raining the JCB, absolutely terrible. Like the Serenity was just appalling. Make things worse, there was a big embankment that just looked like a pile of rubble. Turns out they had a storm that caused a flash flood and wiped away all of the previous springs. So that's why they were still kind of building the place up, and that's why it was a building site. But oh my god, like, we were sold a dream. But we ended up being there for like a good 5 hours in the water.
Hours. So I guess when you envisage a natural hot spring, you think of natural pools of water,
Bubbling spring.
yeah,
It'd be a nice stream,
and just the calm trickle,
peaceful surroundings.
the calm trickle of aqua going from pool to pool. It was anything but that, and it was a building site. And then as soon as we kind of sat down after the machine had been whirring for a good 15 minutes or so,
Dong, dong, dong with the hammers. Bossman comes along with his horse,
yeah,
comes down to have a shower and a scrub, get all his body odours off into the pool.
he stampeded down on that horse just to leave it there where it couldn't sit down, and he was just yapping away in Nepalese for a good half an hour to a guy who clearly had no interest in what he was saying. We are going the right way, right?
Yeah.
As you can tell, we've crossed the bridge, and now it's
bridge.
slightly uphill, hence the heavy breathing. So, and then we were joined by a few others, a Canadian woman who we'd already met once whilst we were having lunch with Bamboo. Fair to say that it's a miracle that Nick's ear is still intact, having been the fact that she almost chewed it off for a good half an hour. And then some Spanish person joined.
Thank God.
Yeah,
Saved my ear.
yeah. Followed by a Nepalese family. Well, not Nepalese family. Nepalese husband and wife. One of which was a doctor. The other was a chartered accountant in Nepal. So Nick obviously put the doctor to the test, asking him about the economy. Is it worth the money? Why wouldn't you move to Europe?
What? Oh, you mean, yeah.
Yeah,
No, you
I
mean
do
like,
mean
is
that.
it worth being a doctor in the pool?
And then we were about three and a half hours considering, should we probably leave the pool now?
Since our hands looked like
Our hands had become,
Darth Sidious.
yeah,
When you
we'd aged 30 years and become
don't
crinkle
wanna-
cut chips. Oh, here. We've got some donkeys grazing here, probably before they have to make the harsh ascent up to top of the mountain. Some of them carrying supplies, fuel, and other necessities needed to keep the villages in Annapurna functioning. It's an interesting mode of transport. And then they were draining out the hottest pool as we were in one of the other ones. We were very comfortable. It was probably about 32 degrees.
the
Mass or
water.
menos. Yeah, the water.
Yeah, maybe a bit less.
We were just considering getting out, and then I could see a load of steam coming from the other pool, and